Hey, and welcome back to Riptech Labs. I'm Chris, and in this episode, we're going to take a look at these four calculators. Now, these are basically ancient pieces of history at this point, some older than others. I honestly don't know if any of these work. If they don't, we'll try and figure out why and try to fix them. We've got this Lloyd's Accumatic 305. We've got a Texas Instruments TI-1200. We've got this TI-55. And this thing, which is the Hewlett-Packard, this thing is a bear to get into. Try not to break it, there we go. Scientific calculator. And as luck would have it, I've actually got the docs for this. So, there's that. So let's start with what I think is probably the oldest one of these. That's this Lloyd's Accumatic. It's probably the simplest one also. It's, just your standard calculator. I did find some information on this. It doesn't have a manufacturer date on the... Oh, there it is. Year introduced, 1975. So this was made in 1975 era. I mean, this calculator is 50 years old. It's just got your basic VFD display. It's not even LEDs at this point. It's vacuum fluorescent. I have never tried to fire this up. I think I bought this at Goodwill for like $3, and it came with the case, and it came with the instruction manual. I mean, I don't know. This was buried in somebody's desk for, 50 years. So let's chuck our batteries in there and see how this goes. I do think it's funny that, it has the instructions on how to use this, which if you've never used a calculator like this before, which in 1975, there's a good chance maybe you hadn't. Yeah, how do you know what to do with it? It would be a total mystery, right? So let's put the back on that kind of. What do we have? We have nothing. Oh no, what happened? Did I put the batteries in correctly? Yeah, I did. What's going on? Oh, there we go. I guess maybe they just weren't in all the way or something. So, buttons work. We have pi. Okay, that works. Square root of pi. So the buttons work. 4 divided by 3. Yeah. Okay. Okay, subtraction works. All the buttons seem to work. This thing is in like mint condition. Came with the handy little carrying case that's also in really mint condition, and it also came with the instructions. I think I got this at Goodwill for like $4 or something. I mean, it's just insane, right? And there's your instructions in French. But there again, if you've only used the adding machine or slide rule, which I think slide rule definitely, but the adding machine, I think you had a little bit different way to do things on, then yeah, you wouldn't know how to use this. Yeah, I was honestly hoping maybe there was actually something wrong with it, and we had to fix it. But if you didn't have the batteries, I guess you'd use this 6-volt DC input. I don't know why you would have a 6-volt DC input and not 4 AA batteries, unless that was just something you'd have laying around from various things. I really don't know. It seems like an odd thing to me, but I was 3-4 years old at the time. I wouldn't have played with a calculator like this. This was probably expensive. I didn't look up to see what it would have cost. Does it have that on here? It really does not. Yeah, that's too bad. I guess we can turn it off, take the batteries back out. I guess that one works great. Huh? That's good. And it's bad. Like I said, I was kind of hoping we'd have to tear it apart and have a look at it, but works just fine. Let's just leave it alone. Yeah, these battery covers are just, they're made to not open very much. This is like crushed almost. I don't know if you can see like the dent that's in there just to get that little tab to snap in and out of place. There it goes. Kind of tricky. What am I going to do with this? I don't know. Like all of these, I may end up putting them up on Etsy or something. They're vintage, so hey. But anyway, moving on. We've got this little guy, the TI-1200. It's also just your basic calculator. I mean, there's not much else to this, right? It's the same thing. Uses a regular 9-volt battery. It says it was made in Italy and USA. Okay, but this was also 1975. Let's see. If it's not working, you can first try replacing the battery. Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the obvious answer, right? So I happen to have, can I even get this open? I don't think so. Like I said, these battery compartments were just such a hassle to get into. Alright. Is it off? Where's the power switch? I don't know. It's down. So I'm guessing this one's not in as good a shape, although that crap should clean up. Let's plug that in and see what happens. Boy, even that doesn't want to go on. There we go. I'm just going to leave that off of there. Oh, it's actually on. Okay, so up is off. I don't know if you can see this. It's made so that you can only see it at an angle. So like I can see the number right here looking at this angle, but you have to be at, yeah, it has to be about a 30-degree angle for you to be able to see it on the camera there. Does this work? Okay, clear works. Let's see if that same one, 4 minus 20%. So yeah, that works. Yeah, same way. All right. Clear air. We have, let's see, do the numbers works? 8, 9. But look at that blank. Oh, is that not classic or what? .2. Okay, so yeah, the numbers all work. There's some gunk on the screen right there. 5 minus 2. It seems to also work spectacularly. Yeah, I mean, it seems to work just as good, so how long will it actually stay working? I don't know. This doesn't have... Oh, it does have instructions on the back. See, that's what I'm saying, like with the Lloyds. Operation examples. How do you just add and subtract numbers, you know? But this one actually shows like multiple operations here. To clear calculator, to clear last entry. Oh, I never remember. I always want to say that clears error, but so if you were working in a chain and you do 27 times 2 divided by 3 and you, oh crap, I needed 4 there, you could hit CE and put 4 in there. There's add-on percent, discount stuff you would actually use this calculator for sitting on your checkout counter or whatever, Attempted repair by unauthorized persons will void warranty. Now this one, okay, model AC9180 adapter. Where would that, oh, no, where would that get plugged into? Oh yeah, there's a DC jack right here too. So there again, you can plug that into a 9-volt adapter if you didn't have batteries. I'm trying to remember, were batteries like expensive in the mid-70s? I don't remember. And like I said, I was 3-4 years old. I don't remember. I guess they weren't as cheap as they are now, but or if you used it all day, this would probably eat up batteries like nobody's business. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with this one either. Man, I guess we're 2 for 2, but I was kind of hoping for something not working here, right? This next one we might have a little bit more fun with. This, you think, oh, cool, this has a Commodore logo on it, right? You think, no, this is going to be a Commodore business machine. No, this was just how I ended up with this, was this TI-55 in this Commodore case. I don't know how that happened, but now this one, as you can, let me zoom back out a little bit because this one's got quite a few more buttons. I don't have a manual for this, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use this correctly. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use it at all, to be quite honest. And I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, compute. This looks like it was quite complicated to use. And get your TI-55. I've got the manual here. Professional pocket calculator. Advanced professional pocket calculator. Standard operations, arithmetic calculations, hierarchy of operations. And, it would do parentheses. This is... But it has, memory, 1977. So this was a couple years older than the 1200. Newer, a couple years newer than the 1200. Special calculations, polar rectangle. So this is a full-blown scientific calculator. Algebraic operating. Look at this stuff. This is wild. To me, this is wild that in 1977 you could have a I don't even know what this would have cost. Google AI says this was $59.95 as MSRP, but so $50 in 1978. So if we go here, if we have 1978 and we do $50, let's do MSRP first, $60. That's a $300 calculator by today's standards, which isn't that unreasonable, I guess. considering what some of the more advanced calculators that exist now are, you know, full-fledged computers in your hand, basically, right? So by the time it went on sale, it's what? $250. This would have been cutting edge. Addressable memory system with 10, so you've got up to 10 numbers you could store in there. Does some basic statistical stuff. Totally portable and operating on its rechargeable battery system. And we'll get to that in just a second. Conversions available from the keyboard. So it'll do unit conversions. Yeah. You can see this right here. Inches to millimeters, gallons to liters. Wow. Scientific notation. Automatic clearing programmability. 4 programming keys. So you can set up macros basically on it. Alright, well, enough of that. I'm not going to try to put this through its paces, right? Because that would probably take an hour or more just playing with this, trying to figure it out. Exponent, change signs, clearing operations, dual functions. I think my first scientific calculator was like in the late 80s, and I want to say it was a Casio that had the very low resolution graphing screen on it, and you could do stuff like graph lines and signs and stuff like that. This is, I mean, honestly, that's what, only 10 years difference, right? If this is 1977 and this would have been, the next one would have been 87, 88, that's quite a leap forward. But why do I seem so surprised by that, I guess? I don't know. But the biggest problem I think we're going to have with this is this uses this goofy little battery pack, right? And it comes undone, theoretically. I think, like I said, I've never actually used this or messed with it. It's sat on my shelf the entire time. I can't get the connector out of the battery. That's neat. There we go. Okay. I guess this was at a garage sale. I don't even remember how I came into this. Old school calculator works? Question mark. $3. Where did I find this? I don't know. But this says BP8 on it. But when I looked this up, the BP8 was introduced with the BP7 and fits a whole line of calculators. So it does convert, it does the same thing, right? This BP7, which it's got this sticker that fell out over here that I'm guessing is supposed to go inside of there. Battery pack BP7. Use no substitutes. Well, I'm going to use a substitute. What am I going to do? Put it out of warranty? According to this. But yeah, the BP8 came after the BP7, which I guess is what's supposed to be in it, right? It's a whole line of calculators, including 255, uses 2 AA size NiCad batteries. Now, in 1977, what? You know, was that even, I don't know where you even got that. And it took those NiCad batteries and it converted it to 9 volts inside this battery pack. So inside here are 2 NiCad batteries, which I guess I should be thankful they didn't explode and leak everywhere. Can't imagine what kind of mess that would make. I don't know if that's a thing with NiCad. Maybe it is. Maybe that's all crusty in there. I'd have to actually crack it apart to get in there, and I'm not going to do that here. What you can do is find a 9-volt power supply battery and connect it to the wires. So what I've got, what's in here is 2 NiCad batteries and something in there. I don't know what. I'm not going to crack this open here to look at it. Some more light on that. Took that 3 volts and jumped it up to 9 volts. I can't imagine those batteries lasting very long doing that, though. And you'd have had to go buy these if they burned out. I guess that's why it was rechargeable, right? Does it say what the? It doesn't just say on. It doesn't say on it what to hook it up to, you know. So what do you charge it with? Well, I guess you'd have to have this proprietary battery charger to hook it up to, I guess. I've got this handy little doodad here. Let's see if we can strip these wires off and just plug them in without having to go through a bunch of soldering and stuff. Where is my wire strippers? There we go. Let's see if we can make this easy. Nothing's ever easy though, is it? So I can't even strip that off at the low setting. Okay, that's cool. We'll have to go all Rambo on this, I guess, and hope we don't cut it off. Maybe what I'll do is I'll tin these. That should get the job done. Do this real gingerly. Oh, come on. There we go. And supposedly the calculator doesn't care if you hook it up backwards. I'm not going to try that and find out, I hope. Yeah, let's tin these. That will probably make this a lot easier to actually do. So anyway, I tinned those leads. Had the camera on the wrong setting. Got them plugged into there, and we have nothing, right? Nothing. Even with at the angle, you can't see anything. So let's see what's going on here. We got voltage DC, which is how it's done. What happens if I measure this? It's possible that this thing here is bad. Can it even get down in there? What? What do you mean 0.2 volts? Something inside this is shorted, isn't it? That's what that tells me. Because we have 9 volts at the battery. Okay, so we've got something inside this shorted out. Well, I guess that means we have something to do here. Let's see what we can figure out. I don't even know how to get into this. Hopefully it has some kind of screws and it's not glued together. Well, I don't see anything. I don't see any way to get into this at all. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody's been in here in the past, though, because corner's cracked, so... Oh, yeah, it just comes apart, doesn't it? Where's my spudgers? I have some of those here somewhere, being how it's already partially apart. Yeah, it's just clipped together. Okay. I think. You gotta be kidding me. That's what I was looking for. We'll leave that one kind of wedged in there, and we'll see if we can... We'll see if we can break the tip of my spudger off in it. That'd be cool. There we go. Now we're talking. Ha! There we go. Did any of it actually break? No. Good. Alright. Well, that doesn't tell me much anything, does it? That figures. That figures. So let's get this out of here. That's just clipped in display. Ooh, and I've got the... Ooh, crap. I've got these wires here, too. Snap. Pop this... I gotta be careful here, because, yeah, these wires... Just direct wires going from the pad to the brains, I guess. This plastic was probably not this brittle in the past. Yeah, okay, there we go. Now we got to do the same thing down here, and then hopefully we can just pop that out. Oh yeah, about like that. Cool. Now should maybe be able to just pull this out. Yeah, okay, now what's the problem? Oh my god. Well, we know what kind of keyboard it was. Past tense. Zoiks. What are we gonna do about that? Oh my god. Oh, yeah, I'm sure at one point that was all... Oh my god. Okay. I gotta put them all back. Yeah, okay, well, one thing at a time, I guess. Alright, and the power switch is also just clipped in. Let's see if we can... Oh, God, this is... I can't believe this just happened. Oh. Yeah. Wow, okay. I didn't count on that, and now it got in my head. Oh, wow. Let me find... Let's see, use this. We'll just brush this all into my little tray here. Oh, 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 okay. What am I going to do with that? That's just completely destroyed. mean, this is just dust. Oh man. I guess that would have gave it some kind of cushion, I guess. I don't know. Oh boy. Hopefully we're not like SOL. I mean, it didn't work anyway, so it's not a huge deal. One left there. Let's see if we can pop the switch out. There we go. Alright. Oh my. So we've got our little membrane. We've got our display. There's not much here. That's interesting. Wow. Do we have continuity from the battery holder to the power to where it connects to the board here? I have a feeling this is going to be dead. So maybe I took this apart for nothing. Yeah, the wire on this oh, for crying out loud. You gotta be kidding me. So I took this apart and dumped that out just because my little battery connector is trash. That's cool. So we should have connectivity between here and here. Okay, and we do. So what's going on inside of my cheap old Radio Shack battery connector here? Man! Okay, so what we're gonna do, let me just cut this battery connector off, since apparently this is the source of all our problems. My God, really? That was like a brand new connector. I mean, I bought it a long time ago, but it's not nothing but sit in my rack here. And now it doesn't work, so I don't know. Because there's nothing else on this board. There's the battery, the display, a single resistor, and a single capacitor. And quite literally nothing else. The entirety of this thing lives in that, oh my God, lives in that chip. Right there. TMC1503NL GD 7940 12185. That's Singapore. So I honestly don't think there's anything else we can do for that. The switch works. Are we getting voltage through that when we hook that up? Let's find out. That should show nothing. Yes. Now when I switch it on, it goes, something is shorted because it went from floating to 0 Zot. Yeah, okay. I think something is internally shorted in that chip. Well, that's unfortunate, isn't it? I don't know what else to do with that one. I'm at a loss. This looks to me like it's just a dead short. When I turn that battery on, it just goes plot to nothing. And I don't think it should. So we're going to move on to the HP-28. Problem with that is I don't have any batteries for that, and that uses a specific N style, I believe is what they are, batteries. Little tiny little 1.5 volt cells. And I don't have any, so I'm waiting on them to get here. And when I do, I'll see you right about now. Alright, so it's been a couple of days. I have my pack of N cell batteries. LR1s, I guess is technically what they are. Whatever. That goes into the HP-28S calculator. Now, I'm not going to even try to run through all of this. That would be like 6 hours long and incredibly boring. I mean, and honestly, there's a lot better calculators out there than this now. This is kind of a historical oddity, I think, at this point. It uses something called reverse Polish notation, if I can say it correctly, that honestly I don't understand. I've never understood it. It's always been one of those things where you go, why? Why would you do that? I mean, I guess from a computer standpoint, it makes sense, right? Let's see if we can find that. I'm just diverging here. Sorry. How to use the manual. I mean, okay, if you're familiar with that use RPN, read Appendix B. If you're familiar, use a form of algebraic entry, which is like 99% of all other calculators, instead of HP's silly crap. Read page 302, right? Okay, so let's go 302. What is 302? Notes for algebraic calculator users. Including the great majority of simple calculators and other ones also. That is 1 plus 2 minus 3, 1 plus 2 minus 3, right? Direct formula entry calculators and basic language, blah, blah. See, that's where this is more of a actual computer, right? You're entering numbers into memory. One, store it, two, store it, and then you perform an operation on it like you would do an assembler or something, right? You'd store the 1 in this memory, you'd store the 2 in this memory, and then you would call that up, add and get that back. So getting used to, zoom in here. At least I think that's how that works. Let's find out. Polish notation, developed by the Polish logician, and I'm gonna butcher it, Jan, what is that? That's some strange... Oh, it tells you how to pronounce it, though, but what? I've never seen that. I don't know squat about Polish language. I'm sorry, people in Poland. I don't. I'm an American. What do you expect, right? That's like a capital L with a line through it. I've never seen that. Okay. And you pronounce it Łukasiewicz? Sorry? Conventional replaces the arithmetic operators between the relevant numbers, specifies the operators after the variables. So that's exactly what you're doing. Yeah, is you're storing numbers in the stack. Direct formula entry, that is all you have to do is precede it. Okay, so you can wrap it in quotes, I guess, or a quote. But it doesn't say. Okay, so let's get started here. Fundamentals, getting started. Locating the battery door. Well, that's pretty easy. It's right here next to the batteries, right? I said right next to the batteries. Oh, it comes off that way. Okay. So let's take our little end cells. And yeah, I bought a pack of them because it was like the same price to buy a pack of 10 as it was to buy a pack of 3 or 4. So why not, right? Takes 3 of them. So we got 2 this direction. Come back. Get in there. And 1 this direction. Then we put our cover back on. Maybe. Bloody hell. Right? Get in there. Leave it to HP. Yeah, sorry, Hewlett-Packard made a lot of good stuff, and I'm sure I'll have a lot of diehard fans tell me this is one of those. But to me, oh, bleeding. My grandpa always used to say, "You little blighter." That did not go in correctly, did it? No. Why not? What is going on here? Oh my God. Okay. There we go. There it goes. Okay. Locating the battery door and printer port. Oh wow, no, that's an LED. Was this one of these goofy little... Oh, I vaguely remember that, where you could print stuff via infrared to certain printers. And I want to say like HP lasers had that. Like, oh my God, I remember having a LaserJet 1 or something like that at job in the mid-90s, and I want to say you could print via infrared to it. There were devices. I had like a Sharp PDA little stupid toy that printed via infrared, and that, I bet you that's what that is. Yeah, okay, right here. When you use the calculator, sends the information to the printer via an infrared signal. Yeah, okay, nice. Press on to turn on the calculator. Why didn't I think of that? Where's on? There it is. Okay, we have power. Memory lost. So this is working. That's cool. But yeah, you're basically operating on a little microprocessor, or I don't know what you want to call it. Keyboard calculations. Try the following calculation. Press. Let's see, get this on screen here. Try and get the glare off of there. Can I change? Press and hold on. Press. Whoop. Okay, that's how you change the contrast, is holding down on and using the plus and minus. Okay, it looks bad from where the angle I'm at, it's a big just black, it looks like that, right? But on camera here it looks decent, so we'll go with that. Let's see, do we have just a clear? No, of course not. There we go. Okay. The basic steps are the same using paper and pencil. First you'll calculate 15 plus 23, which produces an intermediate result. Next you'll calculate the sine of 30, which produces the another. Okay, arrow. Where's the back arrow? That? Let me zoom out just a hair. There's too much going on here. Get this out of the way. Oh, there it is right there. Press on to erase all the digits I typed in. Okay. Start with a clean sheet of paper. Clear. Where is clear? It's in red, so that's probably like a shift operation. Or is that this button? That's that one, isn't it? Okay, so shift clear. Gotcha. Okay. Display, yeah. Okay. Display shows the stack, which is so that's exactly what we're doing here. So we go 15. The stack moves up to make room for the command line. So let's put that in the stack. Boink. Okay. And there it is in the corner. Now we do that again. 23. Enter. And it also goes in the stack. Just like this. Okay. Now to add that, we just hit plus. Boink. And it made a little sound, and now we have 38. Okay, I guess. To calculate sine of 30, you'll use the trigonometry. So that number then stays in memory, I guess, in that stack, right? So we do trig. Where's the trig button? Button, trig button, trig button. There it is, trig. And we get a little menu here. Oh, nice. So then the key is immediately below the display. Okay, so then if we go 3, 0, and put that in our stack, and then we hit sine, bonk, there's our 0.5. Now to do this we just hit the multiplication button. I mean, okay, is that better or worse than just typing into a modern calculator that uses algebraic notation and has parenthesis keys and proper keyboard and stuff like that? This might have been good, and I'm sure it was if you were doing, how do I say this, if you were doing math that you would want to mimic like an assembler operation, right? Because that's kind of how you would do it. You would store that number, you would store the next number, then you would perform an operation on it, get that number back, then you would store them, you would do that, and then you'd have those two numbers, and then you would perform another operation. Okay, I guess, right? I'm not going to go too much further into that than that, because I'm sure we could go crazy, right? Yeah, I'm sure learning this calculator in and of itself was a task, right? Because you've got, cripes, 2 inches of manuals here. Let's see here. Almost 1 3/4 worth of manuals to go through. I mean, you had to basically read an entire textbook to use your calculator. I mean, obviously you didn't have to read the whole thing, but wow. I can see how that would be useful. I could see how some people would wrap their heads around that real quick. I'm not one of them. I grew up on just regular calculators. You know, you started off with, they're over there right now, like that TI 1200, right? Just a scientific calculator. just a, you know, scientific calculator. And then like I said early on in the video, I think my first complicated advanced calculator like this was a Casio of some kind. I would have to go dig something up. I no longer have it. I think I lost it a long time ago, or it died, or got the screen broke, something like that. But it did, you could enter in your equations and whatever into just like you would write that equation down instead of doing this. And to me, that made much more sense. I never learned this reverse Polish, I keep screwing that up, reverse Polish notation. I never learned this. What am I going to do with this? I don't know. I might take the batteries back out. I might mess around and see if there's something I might need this for. If I ever, that's a big if I ever start digging into like 8-bit assembly or something, maybe. That's kept way back in the back part of my mind, where I started to learn that like when I was like 12, and it never really made sense then. It kind of does now because I've learned a lot more since then. I can see how this would be useful. Other than that, it's a museum piece to me. So it's here. I'm going to take the batteries back out for obvious reasons. If I ever want to play with it again, I'll have batteries. I don't know how long they'll last on the shelf. The ad said they were good for 10 years, but you know how that goes. Guaranteed, right? And in 10 years they don't work and you try to get, yeah. I think the TI-55 is just a paperweight at this point. I kind of did a little bit of looking on it. They're not worth anything. Even if they are in mint working condition, they're not worth squat, really. They're just a plain old calculator. I might be able to get some use out of that display if I can figure out how to hardwire it. That's debatable. I'm not going to throw it away. You know, maybe at some point we try to heck, if I get too far into this, replicate that in, you know, like an Arduino or something and have it hooked back up to the display. I don't know. That might actually be a fun experiment, right? Hook the keyboard back up to it through an Arduino, and, you know, you could make it do all kinds of neat stuff. I don't know. So there, I guess we've looked at we've looked at 4 very vintage calculators from slightly different eras. Did I look up and see when this was made? Yeah, 1986. Like I said, you know, 1986, that Casio I got wasn't much later than that at all. Like, it may have even been contemporary with this. Very close anyway, like 87, 88. And like I said, seeing that in action with the RPN, I'm not going to try to say it. But there we go. 4 vintage calculators. We got 3 out of 4 working. That to me is pretty good. And if you like this video, please consider giving a like. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and I guess we'll see you in the next one. Till then, you're awesome. Bye.